Hi, everybody. My name is Chad German with Chad German's Electrical Consulting. We're obviously here on YouTube at Utah Electrician or on Instagram at Utah_electrician. So today I wanted to talk about aluminum conductors. If you've just found out that you have aluminum conductors in your home and you're freaking out, and maybe a home inspector was like, there's some major issues, you have aluminum conductors. I just read articles before I decided to do this video on some scary things about aluminum conductors and how people need to run out and hurry up and change out the wires in their home. So let's go over the fact, are aluminum conductors bad? Let me share the screen with you real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, are aluminum conductors bad? That's the question. That's why I'm talking to you today. In the National Electrical Code, sorry for a second. Let me just thank Ryan Jackson for letting me use some of his slides. Ryan Jackson is the owner of Ryan Jackson's Electrical Training. Travels the country teaching electrical code, does expert witness stuff for electrical fires that could be due to possible aluminum conductors. So you can check out Ryan Jackson on YouTube as well. And I think he has Ryan Jackson's electricaltraining.com. So he's allowed me to use some of these slides here. So in 110.5 conductor materials, the conductors that carry current can be copper, aluminum, or copper clad aluminum, unless otherwise indicated in the code book. Now, copper clad aluminum just on 110.5 got added to this little list of conductors. It's already been throughout this whole code. This is the National Electrical Code right here. Mine's got stickers all over it, so you can't see the cover. But either way, as I teach over at the school that I teach out here, the technical college, when we get into Article 300, a lot of people get freaked out and say, man, why would you ever pull copper conductor? And I said, well, is it really a bad conductor? That's my question. If it's such a bad conductor, you can find it throughout the whole National Electrical Code, which is the code book that electricians use nationwide here in the United States with conductors that we can pull. So, you know, one thing, if you looked at this table 310.16, you would see on one side's aluminum copper clad and the other side's copper. The only difference really would be the aluminum wire is going to be a lot bigger. Not, maybe I shouldn't say a lot. It is going to be bigger for the same ampacity as it would be for copper. That's just because copper is more conductive. But that does not mean that aluminum's a bad conductor. Okay. With that said, aluminum homes do have more fires. Back in the 1960s through to the early 1970s, a lot of homes, I think they said there's about 2 million homes built with copper-only wire in them. Now, before we move on, and we're talking about copper wire, let me just make sure we understand. I get calls all the time from people trying to sell their home, friends that become real estate agents, and they go get a home inspected, and they say, oh, the home inspection said that we had aluminum wires, and I show up to see what the big deal is, and their feeders, or their wires that go from their service to their first panel, are aluminum. And that's very, very common. In fact, in the state of Utah here, we are booming. Everybody's moving here from California, and we've got a lot of houses getting put up. We have subdivisions all over. I mean, it's just getting big. Our roads, we're having to do new roads to try to keep up, and it's got crazy out here. But 100% of these homes, I don't even want to go to 95%. I have never seen a home where they pull the copper SCR in the state of Utah. Every home has an aluminum conductor feeding that from the meter to the first panel, or from the first point of disconnect to the first panel. It's aluminum wires. So with that being said, that's another argument I have. If that is what we use out here, and I did commercial work for a lot of years And a lot of the contractors I work for, they would try to upsize the wire to aluminum because they could save a lot more money on cost from aluminum to copper. Even though the aluminum was bigger conductor, to get the same ampacity out, it's a lot cheaper to pull that. So I was pulling a lot of aluminum feeders into major commercial buildings. If the copper or if aluminum was that bad of a conductor, and people should be wigging out and throwing a fit, why is that? Why the main feeder that feeds our panels and our services aluminum? Okay, so just keep that in your mind. Now, branch circuits, which is the wire that goes from your panel to all of your switches and devices, if that is aluminum, is that a bad conductor? I would say no, it is not a bad conductor, but there is a problem, and it is a major problem. If your house was built in 1960 or in the early 1970s, and you're trying to update your home, you want to put can lights, you want to do something nice, remodel your kitchen, you are not going to be able to find Romex, which is, or what we call in the trades NM cable. You will not be able to find an aluminum in the electrical stores. They don't sell it anymore. So I'm sure you could get it special ordered in. So a lot of times what happens when you go to do those updates, or a homeowner goes to do something, they don't even think about it. They go to the local store there, and a hardware store, and they grab a roll of NM cable, and they go and they wire up the cans and they tie it together. Well, there's a problem with tying the newer wire, which is copper, with aluminum wire. And you can see in this statement here, the problem is right there, oxidation. You have oxidation, which is saying that there's 2 million homes in the state, or 2 million homes in the country wired with aluminum conductors, and a few places are telling us that we need to change them out of our houses quick. Okay. When you put aluminum and copper together, they do oxidize. They have some problems. In this picture, they got some copper and aluminum in a wire nut. This is a wire nut that they generally have some no-locks or some antioxidant in it, but it still caused a fire. These wire nuts are not meant for this installation. They're not listed for that. So the next question is, what's the solution? You have a home or you have a residence and it has been wired with aluminum wires. Again, not a bad deal, right? But the bad thing is if somebody comes through and ties newer stuff into the home, and they just branch a bunch of copper together with aluminum, you probably have a situation on your hands. You have a situation on your hands. That's when it's like, yeah, you got to fix the problem. So I would say if you are in your home and you might want to call an electrician and just say, I don't want you to try to upsell me on the fact I need to rewire my whole house, but do we have any splices in this home that are copper and aluminum? Now, you might have to pay for them to go through the house and open things up, or maybe yourself take off a couple covers, look in, see if you have copper or aluminum in there, and then hire yourself a good qualified electrician, and get a very good range of contractors to do that kind of work. I wouldn't go with your nephew that just started as an apprentice, and I wouldn't go with the high dollar guy that has to pay a lot of money for radio ads in your local area, because those guys do like to upsell. So I would just get some prices to see what it would cost. I do think that if I bought a home that had aluminum wire, I would eventually change that out. One, I have the skill set to do that, and two, it's really hard to be held back by the fact that you can't wire new things up with old things, or so we think. So here's a solution. They have something called Luma Connectors. Luma Connectors, you can wire up and you can use. This is a 2-port Luma Connector. They make 3 and 4-port Luma Connectors if you needed to branch off. So this wire is listed to, or sorry, this connector is listed to be installed with aluminum and or copper wires. Okay, and so you would use that on your can lights or your outlets or whatever it may be that you're trying to splice up, so that you're not putting copper and aluminum together. And you can see here, it would still recommend hiring yourself a licensed electrician, so that it's done properly. I don't think they're sorry about that. I don't think that they are that hard to put in. Obviously, let's see, I'm trying to unshare this. I apologize. Stop share. Let's see what happens. Okay, I don't think that obviously copper wire is not a bad conductor. For the circumstances in which we have branch circuits with aluminum wires, I think that aluminum wires are a problem. So if aluminum wires are in your home, please make sure you call a qualified electrician, because, like I said, you could probably go put Luma Connectors in yourself, but I don't highly recommend that unless you practice safeguards and make sure power is off, and you make sure connections are tight. Don't over torque things, don't under torque things. There's a lot of things that can happen, and people think that just because lights turn on and outlets have power doesn't mean that there's a problem behind their walls. And that's in fact what we think when we go hire an electrician. We have aluminum wires and they add can lights and don't ask any questions and wire to that, and there ends up being a fire. And it doesn't just happen the second they put the wire together and turn on the switch. It takes a while, and then you think you got some nice lights going on there, and then all of a sudden the wire's on fire. You know, a week, 2 weeks, month, year, doesn't matter. So aluminum itself is not something to be scared of, nor if you're an apprentice do you need to think that aluminum conductors are bad. They're not. Aluminum conductors are fine conductors, but in the situation that we can't find you don't have branch circuit wires for aluminum right now, I highly recommend making sure you update your home. That's something you could take the time to budget. Get a couple of prices from 3 or 4 different guys, get a good budget for that change. It's going to be pretty expensive to change that out. Or if you are going to add can lights or anything like that in your home, make sure you say, hey, I want Luma Connectors and some sort of a wiring connector that is listed for aluminum and or copper. So thank you so much for joining me today. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can direct message me on Instagram at Utah_electrician, or you can just email me at cgermanelectric@gmail.com. Thank you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video.